How's it going, Jack Tackers, and welcome back to another video for you guys. Today I'm going to be doing my review for episode 8 of The Last of Us. Now, overall, this was a pretty solid episode, and I was looking forward to this because we actually got to see Troy Baker make an appearance. He's obviously not playing Joel in this because, well, Pedro Pascal is, but he's playing the character of James, and we also got the character of David played by Scott Shepherd in this episode. Now, Scott Shepherd, I like him because he was in El Camino, a Breaking Bad movie, and he also played the villain, or one of the villains, in that movie. And let me just talk about his character in this real quick. David is such a creep and scumbag and just pure evil. I mean, he got gradually more evil as the episode went on, and it was just very disturbing and gross. And obviously, this episode is probably the darkest and just scariest episode of the show so far. I mean, it's very gruesome and just overall disturbing and pretty gory. I mean, there's a lot of bloodshed in this episode, but I kind of also feel like this is what the show needed because we hadn't gotten too much of it up until this point. I mean, this really kind of went all out with the gore and just the disturbing moments. Obviously, this group, religious fanatics, they are cannibals, or at least some of them are. I mean, well, I guess they all are cannibals, but only some of them are aware of it. And David's the one usually doing the butchering. And it's pure horror, really, is what it is. And they're even more so pissed off at Ellie, this group, because once they encounter her, because Joel killed one of their group members back in episode 6 at the university. So now they have more of like a personal vendetta against Ellie and Joel, and they're trying to find them. And then Ellie ends up getting captured, and David, eventually is like, all right, I'm going to cut you up into little pieces, basically. But then Ellie breaks free of that with the saying she's infected. Kind of reminded me of that scene in The Walking Dead where Bob is like, you're eating tainted meat. Although they luckily didn't eat any part of Ellie, thank God. But yeah, it did kind of remind me of that. I feel like always in zombie apocalypse or just apocalypse stories in general, there's always cannibals out there. There always are, and it's very disturbing. How many times have I said disturbing? I don't know. But yeah, I did like to see more of Ellie's progression and her character development in this episode. I mean, she really had to do a lot on her own. Joel basically didn't really do anything. I mean, he got penicillin because Ellie was able to get that from James and David, but Joel really didn't do... I mean, he did do a lot in terms of fighting off those guys and then torturing them and all that and reuniting with Ellie at the end of the episode, but Ellie basically did everything on her own this episode, and I really wanted to see that, and that's kind of what I wished we saw a little bit more of in the previous episode. I mean, we did get to see a tiny bit of it, but mostly, again, it was dedicated to her and Riley's relationship in the flashback moments, which was the majority of that episode. But this episode, we did get to see more of Ellie's character progression, and I really enjoyed that. I wanted to see her hunt and kind of fend for herself, basically. And I thought it was really well done in this episode. And also Bella Ramsey's performance was very good. And especially towards that end when she's killing David. Holy crap. It's just really intense stuff. And overall, the episode was very intense, especially when Joel had to kill that one guy in the basement when he was like just starting to feel better because of the penicillin. It was just super awesome stuff, and Joel was really badass this episode. But again, I do think the standout of the episode is, of course, Ellie, because... yeah, I mean, she just basically had to do so much stuff in this episode. But I really did like that moment at the end when Joel reunites with her. Really good stuff and kind of wholesome. But it's what we needed after this just horrendous episode and just horrific imagery. I mean, ears on the floor and all that, and Joel torturing people, gonna pop their kneecaps off, which I think he says that line in the video game. Again, I haven't played the video game. I've just seen people play it on YouTube, but that line sounded familiar, so I'm pretty sure he does say that. And I imagine a lot of this was from the video game, rather. But again, I can only remember stuff that was shown in YouTube Let's Plays and stuff like that. So I do remember the character of David, though, from the game. And yeah, Scott Shepherd, man, he was pretty fantastic this episode. But in a very gross way. Very gross way, of course. But yeah, overall, I would say this is a fairly solid episode. I wouldn't say it's like the best episode of the show, but it's definitely up there, I would say. I was really looking forward to this episode, and I'm glad it delivered. There was just this kind of... the beginning of the episode kind of makes you think maybe these people are good, and obviously I knew they weren't, but then it's like just gradually gets more and more scary and just horrific. And yeah, this was a very horror-filled episode, which again, I do kind of feel like the show needed. And Bella Ramsey, yeah, really good stuff from her in this episode. But let me hear your thoughts on the episode down in the comments below, because I'm interested to see what you guys have to say about it. Did you like it or not? Again, last week's episode was also kind of a controversial episode. I liked it, but this one definitely was better than last week's. And yeah, it was really good. I had a very good time watching it. But I would like to hear what you guys have to say about it. So let me hear it down in the comments below. And if you liked this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.